Hey, guys, it is me, DPX. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, DPX Talks, for about an hour. Today is April 10th, 2021, although it is 58 p.m. at the time of recording this, so basically April 11th, and the other half of this episode will be recorded on the 11th as well. But that's because I'm doing my newly annual Wrestlemania recap. Now, you guys know I mean, if you follow the podcast, and pretty much only if you follow the podcast, if you follow basically anything else I do, aside from maybe my Twitter, you wouldn't really know I like wrestling. But I like wrestling. This time, last year I was like I fell down a rabbit hole of like wrestling leading into WrestleMania without the fans, by the way, which made it a bit weird. This time I didn't really, I just watched WrestleMania, so I won't be able to tell you about many of the builds. I believe I kind of know the gist of some of the builds because I watched the promo packages, but I'm not going to dwell on them. Anyways, yeah. This is night one, alright? After I do night one, there'll be the second half of the episode, which is night two. So yeah, this probably won't be out until you're probably listening to it. Or if you're listening on SoundCloud, it's probably pretty much soon after I finished editing this, but on YouTube, this won't be out for, the next day, probably. Anyways, let's get into this. The first thing is, the pre-show, the kickoff, whatever you want to call it. It kind of goes by both. And the thing is, there's no matches on here. And the big thing was their fans. And I've heard someone say this before, and I have to agree. The biggest return in WWE this year won't be any wrestler or anyone. It'll be the fans, and that is hella true. The fans returning tonight was, honestly, wrestling doesn't give me chills too much. It gave me chills. It really did. And the beginning of the show the main show where Vince McMahon was like, "Welcome everyone, and welcome to WrestleMania, and thank you all for waiting," and whatever. It gave me chills. I'm just gonna say it gave me chills. Now the kickoff show, though, I heard rumors that they were gonna do something big for the kickoff show, which is why they had no match there. Now I tuned into the kickoff show late, but from what I remember seeing from the kickoff, it was just a bunch of promo videos, and obviously, the kickoff commentary people. No matches. SmackDown kind of served as the kickoff show. I didn't watch SmackDown, but they had a Fatal 4-Way SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, which I've seen highlights for, and it was actually really good. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which they usually have on at WrestleMania, but I guess for time management or something, they had that on SmackDown, which Jey Uso won, which I think is a good choice. Hopefully that's not a curse for him, as it has been for most people. I feel like I'm a little too close here. Alright, we cut that out. Anyways, we're going to get into the show, as it starts off. Vince McMahon says thank you to everyone, and then we get a musical performance, the national anthem, which was really good. Well, actually, I heard it was really good. I forgot who did it. I heard it was really good though, but my thing fucking had to load. My thing was buffering, and I had to go through a long process to get it to work again. So I kind of missed the whole thing, but I heard it was good. And then they played a hype video for the show. And then there was the weather at in Tampa fucked everything for a bit. For a good 30 minutes, actually. You know, and there was a weather delay. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, obviously it's no one's fault. But, I mean, at this point, it's been a year. It's been over a year since we've had a wrestling show with fans. So if we have to wait 30 minutes longer, fine. But 30 minutes, like, goddamn. And then 30 minutes happened, and then we get a promo package for Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, which is our first match. I'll get into it in a little bit. So we get a promo package for that, which we probably wouldn't have gotten had there not be a weather delay. Like, that match is supposed to just kick off the event. So we get a promo package that is for the match. And then we get the hosts, Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan, coming out on stage to hype up the crowd. And we're now 40 minutes into the show. So it was just like, I don't know, you had the weather delay, you can't control that. Shit like that happens. But then, and obviously, you always have, like, the hosts hyping up the crowd. That, it makes sense. And this is a big deal. The first show with fans in over a year. You didn't need the hype video. I don't think you needed that. Anyways, now we get into it. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. Now I was expecting Drew to get booed, which I didn't like. I don't know. Like, see, I like Drew McIntyre. I think he's a really good wrestler, and he's definitely proven himself for the past year. So I don't know. I didn't want him to get booed. But at the same time, like, Bobby Lashley's on a roll as WWE champion. So it was good to see that Drew McIntyre did not get booed. Though at times it felt like WWE were piping in crowd noises. And at times it felt like the crowd, like, this was me forgetting that it was a limited capacity. But it felt like the crowd was just not as excited for many things. But they were into Drew. And they were also into Lashley. So, yeah. It was, it started, quick little sum up of the build here. Basically, Drew defended the WWE champion in an elimination chamber, which Bobby Lashley came and attacked Drew after the match, and then the Miz cashed in his Money in the Bank. I guess Bobby Lashley paid the Miz to do that or something. And then the Miz and Bobby Lashley fought for the WWE champion, and Bobby Lashley won the champion, which, I mean, he's the heel, and he's a good heel, but had there been a crowd there, he probably would have, the place would have lit up, alright? So, like, it was awesome to see him win. And then we get a match between Drew and Bobby. A pretty decent build. The build to this show, by the way, was dog shit. Like, this was one of the few matches on the show where the build didn't completely suck, you know. But there are a lot of mistakes going into this. Obviously, you know, there's the big blunder where they broke up the Hurt Business. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? But that being said, I was thinking Drew was going to win this because, you know, you want to give him that big moment in front of a crowd. He didn't get that last year. So, yeah, they had a match. It was really... I actually liked the match. It felt weird, though, you know. It was a WWE Championship match. It was one of the most important matches of the card, of both nights. Going on first. Technically opening the whole WrestleMania. Like, it was the first match of night one, the opener of night one, right? So it's kind of the opener of WrestleMania weekend, you know, if you know what I mean. And it just felt weird. It didn't feel like, obviously it had a build, it had a World Championship match build, you know, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, like these two going into a world title match at WrestleMania, I like that. These are two guys that are like, this is like the future. You don't do like, you know, fucking Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, like, get them out. stop putting them in these title matches. You have people like Bobby Lashley, you have people like Drew McIntyre, use them, and they're using them. So I like just this match on paper being a WrestleMania title match. I really like. It felt just being at the beginning of the show, and also it was delayed like a good 30 minutes. So a lot of the stuff was off. You know, some of the hype sort of lowered. It got back up, but like this was the first match of WrestleMania Night 1 after a weather delay, which sort of, you know, killed some of its momentum temporarily. You know, it got built back up. But so this match, like, it was unfortunate, but it was a good match. And it had a surprising outcome. Bobby Lashley won. Like, and they sort of protect Drew in this way, you know. I feel like whoever was winning, the loser was going to be protected, alright? I didn't think, like, I thought Drew was going to win. I had my money on Drew. But I was thinking, you know, Lashley was going to lose, but look strong in defeat. But Lashley won, but Drew looked strong in defeat. You know, Drew didn't tap. He didn't get pinned. He just faded. Right? He just blanked out. And, you know, it was a strange match, but it was definitely good. Don't know what else to say about it, though, because it happened at the beginning of the show after a 30-minute delay, and it was, like, the crowd didn't quite seem as into it as they probably would have been. I feel like this is definitely a match. Like, this would have been, had there not been the delay, the crowd would have been, like, would have ate up anything, you know? They would have, like, this match, like, the first match they're seeing in front, like, the first ever WWE match in front of actual fans in over a year, they would have ate this shit up, and whatever it was. And it being a WWE title match, like, that would have, had there not been a 30-minute delay, the crowd would have been into this. So I feel like the lack of, like, a major crowd reaction kind of hampered this one, but it was a good match. Definitely a good match. And then the next match we get is, before we get on to the next match, I'm just interested to see where Drew goes from here and where Bobby Lashley goes from here. See, I'm not, like, with these major titles after WrestleMania, I'm not interested. I don't like the idea of getting rematches, because, like, I don't know, WrestleMania is supposed to be big, and, like, you know, I feel like if you have a rematch at the next pay-per-view, it's sort of like, and especially if the title is going to change hands at that next pay-per-view, it's sort of like, why didn't you have this at Mania? So yeah, I'm interested. I feel like what they were trying to do was to test the waters here, see if Drew was getting booed or not. And if he got booed at Mania, then they're not gonna do a rematch. If he got cheered at Mania, which he did, they are gonna do a rematch at Money in the Bank or Backlash or whatever's next, and they're gonna have him win. So that's what I think is gonna happen. I don't. If that doesn't happen, Bobby Lashley might be holding on to that title for quite a bit. But anyways, yeah. Now moving on to the next match, I don't care really. It's the women's tag team turmoil match. It's with 5 teams. We have the Riot Squad with Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, Naomi and Lana, Carmella and Billie Kay, Tamina and Natalya, and Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. This was for the number one contenders. It was a number one contenders match for the women's tag team champions to fight Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler on night 2. So tomorrow. So I'll report on that match tomorrow. And basically, you know, it starts off with Lana and Naomi against Billie Kay and Carmella. Now, I just want to say, aside from the Riot Squad, every single one of these tag teams were randomly thrown together to either A, make a new tag team, or B, give these women something to do on TV. In fact, actually, fuck that. Both. Every one of them is both. Sorry, a little interruption happened. No biggie. But what is a biggie is I kind of forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, every one of these teams were thrown together to make new tag teams and to give these women something to do on TV. Aside from the Riot Squad, so that's the one I wanted to win the most, because they're the only actual tag team, and they haven't won the tag champs yet. Like, come on. And but the one that I feel like would have made the most storyline sense would have been Naomi and Lana, because they've been feuding with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for a while, and the feuds, by the way, is very excruciating, I must say. So, yeah, that happened. It starts off with them against Carmella and Billie Kay, which were just randomly thrown together, like, last Friday. Like, they were just thrown together. So that either means that they are going to win, because why the fuck else would you throw them together? Or they're not, because they needed a fifth team. Although I think 4 is more than enough. But, well, not more than enough. I think 5 is more than enough. 4 is a good amount. But I guess you wanted to add them. Whatever. And so Billie Kay and Carmella beat Naomi and Lana, and then the Riot Squad come out. The Riot Squad beat Billie Kay and what's her face, Carmella, and I'm like, oh shit, are we gonna see the Riot Squad win? Because, by the way, guys, I am very much certain that the winner of this, who I'll get into later, the winner of this match will beat Nia and Shayna for the titles. Because I feel like they've, as a tag team, they've kind of overstayed their welcome. I'll get into that later, though. So then we get, this is my favorite part of the match, and it sucks, you know. I kind of feel bad. I'll explain in a minute, but still, it was so funny. We get Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. You know, they're just doing their entrance, you know, and then and then Mandy Rose just slips off the, like, entrance ramp and just falls, like, on the floor, and you can just see it in the back, just. And then, like, Dana doesn't even look. Or at least I don't remember her looking. She just keeps walking, pretending nothing happened. And it was funny. And I feel bad for her, you know, because, you know, they're probably all hella nervous. This is, the first time in over a year they're competing or performing in front of fans. It's WrestleMania, and it's also wet as shit. Like, I don't think the rain had completely stopped at that point, by the way. If it did, it was still wet as shit everywhere. There are a few people slipping a couple times because of that. And also the 30-minute delay. So I get, like, you know, you're a little nervous there. A lot of shit's going against you. But still, it sucks for her. But they enter the match. Some stuff happens. They lose. They're like, like, there are, like, multiple blunders in the one, like, period of time where Mandy and Dana enter the match and then get eliminated. There's Mandy tripping on the entrance ramp. There's 2 times, at least for me, what am I talking? This obviously happened. 2 times where the screen went black. And I'm assuming it's because of a wardrobe malfunction. Twice in one fucking match? Really? Anyways. And then when the Riot Squad eliminated Mandy and Dana, Greg Hamilton, the announcer, not only, like, stuttered when he was making the announcement that Mandy and Dana were eliminated, he accidentally said the Riot Squad were eliminated. So what the fuck happened there? Like, that's 5 blunders. I mean, no, the stutter and the, mistake, that should be 1. But that's 4 blunders within, like, 5 minutes. So then, Dana and Mandy get eliminated, and then we get Tamina and Natalya, and it's kind of looking like the Riot Squad are about to win. They had momentum throughout this whole match, but then a few stuff happens, and Tamina and Natalya get the win, and it's Nia and Shayna versus Tamina and Natalya tomorrow night. And I feel like they're such a random pick. I don't know why, but cool. The WWE, they need to work hard. They need to work on their women's tag team division. Honestly, I don't think the women's division is that good. It's good. They got some great talent, but, they don't utilize much of them at all. There's, the same 5 or 6 people that they utilize ever, and that's it. And then they try to do a tag team division, a women's tag team division. You gotta take the one step at a time, So yeah, this match happened. This is unfortunate, but I'll only remember it for Mandy Rose fucking slipping on her entrance. Man, I slipped up there. But, that's unfortunate, but that's all I'll remember it for. But yeah, moving on to the next match is probably definitely one of the most anticipated matches of WrestleMania, Night 1 and 2. And I was kind of surprised they just sort of had it, and they didn't have, a hype package, promo package, hype video or anything. They had a little, fake advert, which I thought was funny, but other than that, they didn't have a hype video, which I feel like this match had a build that would need one. Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, though, the sound of that match, just that match on paper sounds fucking stellar. That should steal the show on paper. And in execution, it pretty much did. My problem with this match, though, is it went a little short. I guess maybe it was on a delay. Might have fucked it up, but I kind of feel like this ended a good 30 minutes after it probably would have. So I don't think the delay mattered. Did we really need that long, that much time for a women's tag team turmoil? You could have given this match more time. This match, it was a really good, probably might have been my favorite match of the night. I just wanted more, because, you have 2 great in-ring technicians. This is, the technical wrestler. These are 2 fantastic technical wrestlers, and it's Cesaro's first ever big WrestleMania singles match. I think this might be his first ever WrestleMania singles match ever, actually. So it's a big deal. And he won. Cesaro won, and Seth Rollins is the kind of guy who, you know, he can lose to Cesaro, you know, and still look good. Like, Seth Rollins can probably challenge for the Universal Champion fucking next month after losing to Cesaro, while Cesaro's being built up, you know? And I like that, you know, we're kind of building up some stars. Like, Vince and WWE Creative, you know, they seem to be keen on Cesaro here, because if not, why else did you give him this match? You know, you gave him this big WrestleMania singles match, a win over Seth Rollins, who before last year, I remember like the whole build to that match he had with Kevin Owens. Before that, like, it was a big thing. He had a very clean WrestleMania track record. So to have Cesaro beat him says a lot about how they're trying to push Cesaro. Now to see if they're actually like gonna follow up on that, you know, maybe have him win Money in the Bank or something, like that would be pretty cool, and then actually have him cash in, because don't always have that. But yeah, I thought this was a good match. Should have gone a little bit longer. There's some other matches on here that I feel like they could have trimmed down. Yeah. Definitely a good match. Should have been longer. But a good thing for Cesaro. And I'm interested to see what they do next for him. And next up, I am pretty sure... Yeah, this was next. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. Last year when I had like the list of the card in order and everything, so that's how I was able to remember everything. But I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But anyways, the next match was the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston defending their Raw Tag Team Champions against AJ Styles and his bodyguard making his in-ring debut, Omos. Or at least they pronounced his name Omos, and now they changed his pronunciation to Omos. I prefer Omos, so I'm going to say it like that. I'm sorry, but that sounds better to me. Anyways, yeah, this was a strange match. I mean, watching the match wasn't strange. It seemed like a normal match. It served its purpose. It was to have the in-ring debut for Omos, and they did it well. He won. I mean, it's a tag team champion, but still, he won a title in his in-ring debut. Not too many people can say that. And it served its purpose. But the I'm saying it's a weird match because it's like, first of all, AJ Styles, this is not the right way to use him at Mania in a tag team match where he's not even the main focus. Like, honestly, like, I heard rumors that he actually pitched an idea to have a match with Triple H, which that would be pretty cool. Triple H, you know, he's always got to have those fucking 20-minute long WrestleMania matches, but AJ Styles is one of those people who can have a good match with anyone. And even, I feel like a singles match between AJ and Kofi Kingston would have been a good match, because they put on I haven't seen it, but I heard they put on a really good match on Raw, and it's like, you might have something there. But, you know, it served its purpose. I feel like you could have trimmed a little bit from this. Not that it was too bloated. I feel like every match was not too long, but, like, had a little bit of filler. Or not every match, but this match did. And, you know, it was a good, like, it was pretty much a handicap match with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus AJ Styles. Excuse me. And, pretty much it was a good, like, 5 minutes of, just AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And then Xavier Woods, this was weird. This could, like, obviously you need a way to include Omos into the match, but, like, Really? So, Xavier Woods is at the top rope, performing a move. AJ gets up. And there's like, oh shit, I can tag in Omos. They look at each other, Woods and Styles, they look at each other for a solid 5 seconds. Woods has a lot of time to jump off the top turnbuckle and stop AJ from tagging in Omos. But that doesn't happen. AJ tags in Omos and Omos basically fucking cremates the New Day for the rest of the match. The rest of the match is basically Omos ragdolling both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And then Omos he does like some really big power slam. The dude's fucking huge, by the way. So like a power slam from him will be from very high up. And steps on Kofi for the 1-2-3. AJ Styles and Omos are your new Raw Tag Team Champions. Now, interesting. First of all, AJ Styles is another Grand Slam champion. So, good stuff there. It's interesting to see, like, obviously, like, once this match happened, it was like, okay, yeah, no. AJ and Omos are going to win. It's because it's like, how do you, like, you're going to have Omos in the match, and like, by the way, he no-sold like everything, so it's like, how do you pin this guy? Imagine like fucking you try to roll up Omos, like how the fuck will you do that? The dude is fucking huge. Good luck with that. I'm also happy, little side note, I'm happy that he didn't get like some ring gear, like some, typical wrestling ring gear, because he probably would have looked really stupid in that. It served its purpose. Wasn't a particularly like that good of a match, but it served its purpose. And we soon moved on. Anyways, the next match is a steel cage match. Believe it or not, this is only the second steel cage match in WWE. In WrestleMania, not in WWE, in WrestleMania. The first one being Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy. At WrestleMania, it was a single digit for sure. But it was Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Now this program, I'm not gonna lie, this program had promise. And it, Shane McMahon's always got, he usually has like, a WrestleMania match, and it seemed cool, Braun Strowman's the opponent for Shane McMahon. The build-up was the dumbest thing ever. Alright. So I'm going to explain to you what the build-up to this match was. Alright. So, Shane McMahon calls Braun Strowman stupid every week on Raw. Anyways, now on to the match. So we get in. My shit buffered and I had to refresh and everything. It was a process during the entrances. So if something happened during the entrances, I missed it. But like, I did see the beginning where Jackson Riker and Elias attacked Strowman at the beginning. All right, so I was able to see that. So that happened, and so Strowman had a bad leg throughout the match. But I mean, honestly, it was like, really, it was. I'm supposed to believe that Braun Strowman, this big guy, silly little leg, hurt leg, is supposed to be that much of a factor when he's in a steel cage with a 50-year-old Shane McMahon. Really. Anyways, but still, and I kind of wasn't expecting the match to be as it wasn't anything special. I probably won't be able to tell you most of the stuff that happened within tomorrow, probably, when I report the night 2 later on in this episode. But it had some cool spots. Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon were at the top of the cage. One really cool spot that I don't recall ever seeing in any other steel cage match, and I thought was really cool, was, you probably know what I'm talking about. Braun Strowman was, Shane McMahon was trying to escape the cage, and Braun Strowman was trying to stop him. Braun Strowman rips the cage from the inside and pulls Shane into the cage. That's cool. Now, the other thing was, Shane McMahon always has to take a bump at WrestleMania, so he did. So Braun Strowman threw Shane off the top of the cage onto into the ring, and they acted like it was such a devastating thing. It really, it wasn't. It was just off the top of the cage. People jump off the top of the cage for a moonsault or whatever, a frog splash, all the time. I guess Shane McMahon's a 50-year-old, so I guess that's why all these bumps he takes that usually aren't that crazy are made more crazy because he's an old man. But I don't know. And then Braun Strowman said, "This is for anyone who has ever been called stupid. This is for anyone who has ever been bullied." And I like that. I like how you include an anti-bullying message in here. You have Braun Strowman who running power slam Shane for the 1-2-3. Braun Strowman wins the match. There was a bit of a worry. I was confident Braun was going to win this because, I don't know, you call Braun Strowman stupid, it doesn't quite seem like you're winning the match. But, I don't know, The Miz and Shane McMahon had a match at WrestleMania 2 years ago, which The Miz probably should have won, but Shane won by a fluke. So there was a worry that Braun Strowman would throw Shane out of the cage by accident and then have Shane win the match that way via fluke. But that's not what happened. This was the right guy who won. Definitely. It was a decent match. I don't think it was anything too good, though. Again, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in a steel cage. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of limited there, but it was fine. Fine. This next match, was a bizarre one, but bizarre in the way that I was kind of excited for it, and it's weird because it was a celebrity match. Now, you have celebrities at WrestleMania a lot. But we had, this match was a tag team match, John Morrison and The Miz versus Damien Priest and Bad Bunny. Now, this was originally announced as a singles match between Bad Bunny and The Miz, and that, if that happened, that would have been terrible. That would have been a disaster because, at least what I thought. Bad Bunny, what you do in these celebrity matches is have a tag team match to hide the celebrity's rather lack of knowledge in the ring, and plus the build and the feud and everything involved Damien Priest. It involved John Morrison. It would make sense to have a tag match, and they changed it to that, so good. And I think it significantly helped the match out. But it was a fun match. I liked this match. I don't know if others liked it. I don't know. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I thought this match was a lot of fun. Bad Bunny's entrance I thought was really cool. Yeah, my shit buffered again during the entrances, but this time I knew, you have a celebrity like Bad Bunny here, he's gonna have some sort of entrance, so I'll watch that in, a highlight or something, and I did, and I thought it was cool. He enters with a semi-truck, and it's god damn. And, interestingly enough, Bad Bunny started the match. I don't know, with the celebrity matches like that in a tag team match, they get like, they're usually the hot tag. But Damian Priest was the hot tag. And I feel like this was, like, obviously, yeah, you have Bad Bunny to get some mainstream attention. But also, I feel like this match was important for Damian Priest because this was his first main roster pay-per-view match, unless you count the Royal Rumble, which could have just been an NXT thing, but it was more of a call-up. Oh, excuse me. But, he did a good job, and I think WWE, they seem to want to push Damian Priest. Fun fact, actually, my brother's friend is Damian Priest's cousin. So yeah, just thought that's interesting. Anyways, yeah, it was an interesting match. And I feel like The Miz and John Morrison, excuse me, they were good people to have this match with. A good. I feel like they've been comedy characters pretty much, and I don't really like that too much. I remember last WrestleMania when they were SmackDown Tag Team Champions, they weren't jokes. So they're feuding with Bad Bunny, but it worked. I don't know why, it just worked. Now The Miz and John Morrison, they did lose to Bad Bunny, and in kayfabe, it's like, how do we live that down? The Bad Bunny, I feel like he's not done. From what it seemed like, he's a lifelong WWE fan. He never thought he'd be in a WWE ring, and he has a match. It seems like, he trained a lot for this. He put like a lot on the side. He's a fucking multi-time Grammy winner. He won the 24/7 champion and brought it to like concerts and shit. He didn't even really lose it. He just traded it. So, like, I feel like Bad Bunny is one of the few celebrities that they have at WrestleMania who seems into this. So yeah, definitely. Obviously, he's not going to be like a full-time wrestler. He's got, he's a rapper. Damian Priest has a bright future. Hopefully, WWE won't fuck up that. And yeah, there was a lot of fun actually, and it was kind of the semi-main event of the night as well. Well, speaking of the semi-main event, let's get into the actual main event of night one. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, I just want to say, a while ago, it was back in like Survivor Series where Bianca Belair had a very strong showing. And I remember tweeting, because this was still when it was uncertain whether or not they were gonna follow up on Banks versus Bayley at a bigger pay-per-view like WrestleMania. So I was like, if they don't do Banks versus Bayley at WrestleMania, then have Bianca Belair win the Royal Rumble, challenge Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Champion, and have her win. Was I right or was I right? I love being right. Well, let me tell you, it feels great. This was a good match. You have Sasha Banks coming out with an interesting looking attire, I have to say. Obviously, you got this WrestleMania, you gotta have those crazy attires, so definitely in line with WrestleMania that she got there. It was, I feel like it was a nice passing of the torch. And also this was historic, and the commentators and everyone was saying like how historic it was, and I didn't understand why. It didn't hit me, but then they said it. The first ever WrestleMania main event to have 2 black women. And that's big. But like, you kind of, it's not just that actually. It's not just, I mean, obviously it is the first ever WrestleMania main event with 2 black women. But I think it might be the first ever WrestleMania main event with 2 black people. Like, let's think about this. What other WrestleMania main events have there been? There was the one with Mr. T, and the one with Lawrence Taylor. Both of them not wrestlers. Yeah, and they didn't go up against other black people. So they made history. And you can see at the beginning they're like crying, you know, like tears of joy. They're trying to contain themselves. And they're doing this in front of fans too, which is another thing. So yeah, it was a hard-hitting match. This was a really good match. I think it's honestly either this or Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, which was the better match. I don't know. This match had more time, I feel. Like, it felt longer, but in a good way. Not because I was bored and I wanted it to end, and therefore it didn't end. That wasn't the case. It was a good, hard-hitting match, you know. Sasha Banks was showing some heelish tendencies in this match. Many people were saying, like, oh, I think Sasha's going to turn heel in this match and then win. No. You don't push someone like Bianca Belair like this just to have her lose at WrestleMania. I never understood why you'd think that. Obviously, that if she lost this match, she'd probably, you know, the people were saying, like, she'd have another match down the line. No. You'd kind of kill some of her momentum if you had her lose this. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good match. Bianca won, and it was a really feel-good moment. It really was. You know, it's the first. It's good to see. Right at the moment, right now, this is crazy. Actually, at the moment, right now, neither of the women's champions are on a member of the 4 Horsewomen, and nothing against them, but that's the only women, them and Asuka, and now Bianca Belair, and maybe even tomorrow with Rhea Ripley. Those are the only women that the WWE have pushed hard enough and built up as actual, like, big champions. You know, no one else on the roster has been built up as well as them. So it's good to see Bianca Belair get the title, and sort of a passing of the torch from Sasha Banks to Bianca Belair. I honestly don't really want Sasha to turn heel, because I kind of like this feud as a face versus face feud. I don't know, it just seems like it's the right... Like, this match, on paper, is a banger, you know? So it feels like a right match to have as a face versus face. Although, a heel versus face wouldn't be too bad either. But it's still kind of... Like, I wouldn't say Sasha Banks has, like, completely turned heel yet. So, I guess it was still a heel... face versus face. And the right person won. And yeah, so that was night 1 of WrestleMania. I thought it was actually really good, you know? You had Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, which I thought was a good match, but felt weird as the first match. And then we had the Tag Team Turmoil match, which, who won that match again? Oh yeah, Tamina and Natalya. I can tell you everything. I did not fake that, by the way. Like, it might seem like I faked that, I didn't. And then we had, Seth Rollins and Cesaro, which I thought was really good, but a little too short. And then there was AJ Styles and Omos versus the New Day. served its purpose, not much else. And then there was Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman. Did that, and interesting, not too bad, but not that good either. And then there was Bad Bunny and The Miz. Bad Bunny and Damien Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison. A lot of fun, that match, actually. And then there was Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. I thought WrestleMania Night 1 was good. If not, it's hard to... How about this? It's hard to, like, be mad at this event. Even if, like, every match sucked ass. It's hard to be mad at this event just because it's the first one in front of fans. Like, I can imagine some people being hard on certain matches, like Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon, or AJ Styles and Omos versus The New Day. But it's just hard to be too mad here. One thing though is that there weren't too many WrestleMania moments. You know, there weren't too many backstage stuff. It was just... Maybe we'll save... There are, like, rumors that... Like, very, like, credible rumors and leaks that said Ronda Rousey was going to return, and then Becky Lynch was going to return, and that didn't happen tonight, so maybe that'll happen on night 2, but we'll see. Anyways, I'm going to go right now, but you're not going anywhere, because I'll see you with my recap of night 2 in about, like, I don't know, fucking 3 seconds. Hey yo, we are back. Good 24-ish minus like a number of minutes later. And yeah, we're WrestleMania Night 2. Anyways, luckily no rain delay here. Nothing on the kickoff show. Again, I was told, there were rumors there's going to be something big on the kickoff shows since there's no matches, and there was nothing on either kickoff show, so I found that weird. Sorry, you might hear some wind in the back, because it's pretty windy where I am. Hopefully that won't be too distracting, but, no rain delay. Okay, so, there wasn't a 30-minute delay for the pay-per-view tonight. And no stalling, no major stalling, nothing like that. Alright, we got into it. And we start off with probably, look, I thought every match last night served its purpose well, or was a lot of fun, or wasn't terrible, wasn't completely bad, didn't put a sour taste in my mouth. None of them did that last night, and we're on a good streak, but we kind of... I'll get into that. Alright, we start off with Randy Orton versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And, look, I haven't been following, Raw or SmackDown too much. I look at highlights, and I get my wrestling fix from the YouTube channels that cover wrestling. So I don't watch the shows ever, pretty much, because Raw is just a slog to get through. SmackDown's pretty cool, but it's lesser and better, but still kind of Raw, if you know what I mean. Anyways, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. Randy Orton versus The Fiend. The Fiend, this crazy immortal human being, sells nothing, has been selling a little more recently, and now has Alexa Bliss on his side, who's basically now female Fiend, and they've basically just been fucking with Randy Orton for the past ever since the end of last year. I watched the pay-per-views, okay, so I'll know that Randy Orton fucking set The Fiend on fire at TLC, which was quite the ending, I must say. So Yeah, and then the Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss had a match at Backlash. Backlash? What the fuck am I saying? No, they had a match at Fastlane. Yeah, you heard that. When the Fiend came out and he looked all burnt up and everything, and there we go, we got a match. I'm not going to explain the builds for all of them, but explain the build for this one should probably tell... Like, that's kind of key to knowing what I feel about this match. I heard reports that it was going to be just a normal match, no stipulation, and it was going to be quick. So, a squash match where the Fiend wins. And whether or not it should be a squash match, which it shouldn't be, it would be a very anticlimactic end for the feud, the Fiend's the right person to win. The Fiend didn't win. Randy Orton won, and I'm not saying, like, the Fiend has to win all the time, you know, because you kind of, like, obviously if you make someone lose all the time, they look terrible. But if you make someone win all the time, it's sort of like, well, you dug yourself into a hole here. So it's good to have someone like the Fiend lose every now and then. But this, like, why did he lose? This made no sense at all. Basically, like, it's not even, like, clear to anyone what happened here. Basically, the Fiend had, like, the match won. He had Orton in a Sister Abigail, and then sees Alexa Bliss out of the Jack-in-the-Box. I didn't mention that, by the way. The Fiend had a pretty cool entrance where he just came out of, like, a Jack-in-the-Box, like, right in front of the ring, and then jumped right onto Randy Orton, and then the match started. That was pretty cool. I was expecting, you know, a Fiend entrance all the way down, like, the ramp, because, I don't know, I remember last year, I was like, you know what, a Fiend WrestleMania entrance would be fucking really cool. And we didn't get that because of the pandemic, and we got something, which I thought was cool. But anyways, yeah, so Alexa Bliss is coming out of the fucking Jack-in-the-Box while the Fiend is about to do a Sister Abigail, which means that the Fiend pretty much has the match won. And then the fucking Alexa's squirting black goo out of her face, and it's just like, huh? What? And for some reason, you see, everyone's dumb in WWE, so the Fiend can still do Sister Abigail and still win the match. But he doesn't. He gets distracted by this, which could, for all you know, could mean literally nothing. Alright, but gets distracted, and then Orton RKO's the Fiend and then wins. I'm sorry, it just made no sense for the Fiend to lose this. Also, the red light was in this match. I thought we retired that shit. It looked stupid. My least favorite match of Mania, I'd say so far. Definitely, like, it just wasn't, I don't know. I've heard reports and stuff that it was going to be anticlimactic, so I was expecting something not too great, but I wasn't really... This was sort of like... It's not just the finish, it was the red light, and that's pretty much it, but yeah, what are you going to do, though? And then next up was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending their women's tag team champions against Natalya and Tamina, who won the tag team turmoil match on night 1, which I reported on later in this episode. You see, WWE, like, their women's tag team division is dog shit. Like, what even? So, pretty much, but, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they are a tag team of two people that don't like each other. I feel like they've overstayed their welcome as a tag team, and I feel like it was time to get the belts off of them. I really did. I think they've far overstayed their welcome. So, Natalya and Tamina weren't really they weren't the tag team I wanted to win last night, but I wanted whoever to win, whoever it was, whether it was someone I wanted or not, whoever that the winner of the Turmoil was, I wanted them to beat Nia and Shayna, because, I mean, you won a qualifier match on night 1, night 2, it would just make sense if you win. They didn't win. So this is two matches in a row where I get the prediction wrong, the winner wrong. I'm not mad about that, by the way. I mean, if it was in a betting war, maybe would be a little bit, but hey, I got most of night 1 correct, so I'm happy about that. Not that I'm betting money or anything, I'm just saying I got most of night 1 correct. But anyways, night 2 I did a little bit worse on, but I just want to say that. But anyways, so what was I saying? Right, this match happened. I actually remember it being kind of entertaining. I mean, no. I'm not saying that because, like, these performers are bad, because they're not. You know, Natalya is really good. Shayna Baszler is really good. Tamina has improved. Nia Jax. But I tend to not care about these women tag team stuff because WWE doesn't seem to either. So, like, why should I? They basically just made a Turmoil match on night 1 to give 10 women something to do on the card. Because otherwise, like, that would have been a fine match to have on Raw or SmackDown. So, it was a fun match. It was an interesting match. It did throw me in a bit of a loop. I liked the finish. You know, Natalya had Nia Jax in a sharpshooter, but then Shayna Baszler came in and put Natalya in the Kiributa clutch, and Natalya faded. I thought that was a cool finish. I don't think Nia and Shayna should have won, though. I feel like they've overstayed their welcome as a tag team. So, yeah. Anyways, next up is an interesting one. A match I didn't quite think of was going to be on SmackDown. I mean, it's a SmackDown match, but a match I didn't quite think of for WrestleMania, because, again, I haven't been watching, but I've heard reports and stuff saying, oh, these matches have been, rumored, leaked, have a clear direction. This one wasn't listed there, but it seemed to have a clear direction. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they've had many matches before. This is not the first time they're having a match, but they've never had a match at WrestleMania. I actually remember thinking about maybe they'd have a match at Mania, because there's some tension starting to grow between the two of them at Elimination Chamber, I remember. I'm like, what if, like, I drew any conclusion. I like to draw any sort of conclusion, like, at all. Any observation. So, I'm like, what if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fight at Mania? And then I thought, have they ever fought at Mania? And they haven't. So, this was, a good thing to see. I would have liked there to be some sort of stipulation. That's a kind of a problem I had with this whole WrestleMania. There weren't too many stipulation matches. And, WrestleMania has a lot of them, usually. And it would have been cool to see Kevin Owens jump off the pirate ship, which he apparently wanted to do last year before they had to go to the Performance Center. So, but it was a cool match. The weird thing is that Logan Paul was there, and he accompanied Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's got this whole character where he's like, he loses a lot, or not even a lot. It's not like he's on a losing streak, but whenever he does lose or whenever something doesn't go his way, it's always like there's a conspiracy. He's Mr. Conspiracy, right? And then he wanted Logan Paul to get involved for some fucking reason, and he did. So I guess Logan Paul brought celebrity power to night 2 of WrestleMania, We had Bad Bunny on night 1, Logan Paul on night 2. Except Bad Bunny had a match, and he had a fucking, like, really good... He did really good. Logan Paul didn't have a match, which is fine. They don't always need to have a match. But Logan Paul, like... The fuck he did nothing. He entered the ring. I mean, he entered... He had an entrance, right? He sat by the commentary table. Didn't even, like, do commentary. I was expecting him to be, like, a special guest referee. He wasn't even that. Just watch the match. And then, at the end, I'll say this match is a decent match. There's not, like, any particular spots I can really recall from it. It felt short. Maybe I had a lot of fun with it, but it felt like a short match. It felt like it could have been a little longer. But Kevin Owens won, and then Logan congratulates Kevin Owens on the win, and then Sami Zayn was like, "Hey, Logan, what the hell? You're supposed to be my guest." Logan pushes Zayn. Zayn goes, "To hell with you, Logan." And then what's his face? Kevin Owens hits Logan Paul with this stunner. To a huge pop from the audience. One thing funny was whenever the camera panned over to Logan Paul, or whenever he fucking did anything, the crowd booed him. They booed him. Like, booed him more than Sami Zayn, who's the heel. He's a heel with heel heat, you know. He didn't get booed as hard as Logan Paul did. So I guess maybe Logan Paul's an example of a celebrity that maybe wasn't, you know, right for WrestleMania. He's a fighter, so maybe I guess in the future he could possibly have a wrestling match. I don't know. But, like, then again, he'll probably get booed because he's not... You know, he's a controversial figure, and I mean, at least it's Logan Paul. If Jake Paul was there, like, the place would have erupted in boos. Like, Logan got booed pretty heavily, but it wasn't like a nightmare. Jake Paul, if he was there, they would have booed so hard that it would have been an embarrassment. So, yeah, the highlight was Logan Paul taking a stunner from Kevin Owens. I remember it being a fun time. There wasn't anything particular I can recall from it, though. That's the thing. Anyways, next up was the United States Championship match. Sheamus and Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle is the... Riddle. I legit only call him Matt Riddle. They changed his name to Riddle, and it's like, why? But Riddle defending the United States Champion. But before that, we get a little backstage segment with Matt Riddle and newly inducted WWE Hall of Fame members, the Great Khali, who gets semi-alright pop. And then Rob Van Dam is there as well, who gets a huge pop. Just Great Khali in the Hall of Fame. That just doesn't... I mean... I don't want to disrespect him at all, but he wasn't a good wrestler at all. Anyways, whatchamacallit? Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. This match was a little slow, but... I thought this match was really good. It was a good, hard-hitting battle. I thought, like, Matt Riddle had a cool entrance for WrestleMania. I was expecting him to have a cool entrance for WrestleMania. And, I mean, it was basically just his own entrance, but rather WrestleMania-fied, if that's a thing. Just extra pyro and stuff. I don't know. Matt Riddle, such a gimmicky character he is. Just a chill dude. who's like, I mean, he looks like he's almost in like a swimsuit in a way. So I don't know. He enters the ring with slides, so he kind of looks like he's like a dude at a beach. I was expecting something like that, maybe. I don't know. That's beyond the point. We had a good match. There are certain, like, I thought this match could have gone either way. Sheamus, I thought was I was kind of thinking Sheamus was going to win, and it's kind of who I wanted to win too. Like, Matt Riddle, he's a new star, you got to build him up. But I feel like they're doing a good job with him, honestly. Like, they gave him the United States champion, and he didn't have the longest reign with it, but he had a respectable reign. He didn't... he had a match with Mustafa Ali, and that's it. And then he had a match with Sheamus. Sheamus, I feel like Sheamus should have a run with the WWE champion later on, because he's had like 4 runs with the title before, but all of them were sort of just like, okay, yeah, Sheamus. But he had a really good 2020 and a really good beginning of 2021. Like he had a good year, and he had a good program with Drew McIntyre, which I thought was gonna actually culminate at WrestleMania, but didn't, because The Miz and then Bobby Lashley got in the way and everything. So Sheamus found himself in the mid card, but it was cool. I do remember one botch. Sheamus was lifting Matt Riddle up for, I forgot what it was, but it was like some power slam or something off the top rope, but then sort of slipped off the top rope, or the top turnbuckle, slipped off, and just did it standing up. That was a bit weird. But the other thing is, this wasn't a botch. This was the finish, actually. And it was cool. Matt Riddle goes for like a backflip off the top rope. Sheamus bro kicks Matt Riddle in the face while he's upside down. And then Sheamus wins the match. Good shit. That was good. I like this match. Sheamus deserves a title win, whether it be the world title or the United States champion. It is a bit of a downgrade, because he was technically in a world title feud. Like, he was with Drew McIntyre. Basically, that match was at one point, like, they had a match that was at one point, like, a number 1 contenders match, and then they later on just announced, okay, no, Drew's gonna be in a match with Lashley at Mania. But I thought this match was pretty fun. And then we go from the United States champion to the Intercontinental champion with Apollo Crews and Big E. Big E, defending his title in a Nigerian drum fight. Now, Apollo Crews, it was interesting, because, there are 2 things to consider. One thing for Apollo Crews to win, and one thing for Big E to win. A Nigerian drum fight. That is a stipulation made up by Apollo Crews, and because of his new Nigerian Prince gimmick character, which I haven't seen much of, because I told you, I haven't been watching Raw or SmackDown, so I haven't seen much of his new character. I do know that he started using an accent. I remembered the little segment where he said, "This is my voice, by the way," and I was like, okay, he's never spoke like that ever before. Just okay. Anyways, yeah, this is the match that, like, they're 2 really good wrestlers, and the fact that, like, Apollo Crews and Big E both getting an Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania, like, that's good. Like, obviously it's not the main event. I wouldn't quite say either of these two are quite ready for the main event yet. But, like, you tell me 2 years ago that Apollo Crews... Like, it was about this time last year where Apollo Crews was starting to actually get pushed. But you tell me 2 years ago Apollo Crews was going to be vying for the Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania in a singles match. Like, that would be... I would not have believed you. And same with Big E, because he was a part of the New Day. Now he's by himself. So there's, as I was saying earlier though, Apollo Crews, Nigerian Prince character, and introduces the Nigerian drum match, which I'll get into later. And Big E, hometown. This is hometown. He gets a huge pop when he's entering. Wale actually performs his entrance music. And it was cool to see. He had a cool entrance. Yeah. But so the match happens, and basically a Nigerian drum match. Here's where I'll explain what it is, because it was never explained before this. And what's a Nigerian drum match? Who the fuck knows? Do you have to put your opponent through a Nigerian drum? Anyways, so, yeah, as it turns out, it's basically a no DQ match. I'm not kidding. It's basically just a no DQ match, except there are, like, weapons all outside the ring and everything, and, there's some drums that look like they fit Apollo Crews and his Nigerian character. God, how many times am I going to be saying Nigerian throughout this whole thing? Anyways, it was a cool little match. I feel like it ended too quickly, and Big E almost had the match won. I actually, for a second, thought that he was gonna win here. Big E had the match won. He was gonna deliver a big ending onto what's his face, Apollo Crews, but then some big guy who turns out to be Dabba-Kato from Raw Underground, but no one, I guess we put the reset button on Raw Underground because I guess everyone on commentary was like, who is that? Even though he was even a part of the draft as Dabba-Kato, so I guess this is just an all new guy. He comes in, like does sort of like a choke slam to Big E, and he places Apollo Crews onto Big E. 1, 2, 3. Apollo Crews is your new Intercontinental Champion. I thought it was good. Definitely could have been longer, and definitely a weird finish. Like, obviously it's the heel. Heels often get win by screwy finishes, but I feel like it's sort of, I don't know, Apollo Crews has a lot of momentum, and he kind of needed to win this match because he lost to Big E a lot already, and if he lost this match, it kind of like, if he lost this match, it's sort of, I mean, well, he loses all momentum, but, he wins by getting placed onto, Big E. I don't know what other people will think about this. Sometimes after I make reviews of stuff, I like to listen to what other people think and make me realize certain things. Like, maybe you might have a point. Maybe I'm wrong. So I'm interested to hear what other people think about this match. I didn't think it was bad. You know, the performers in the ring are great. They have, Big E, ever since he went on a singles run, he's always had a bright future. Apollo has had, like, some bumps in the road, but it's looking bright for him. So they both have bright futures. Yeah, that finish was weird, though. Anyways, we are in our penultimate main event, as I like to call it. Unless I'm forgetting a match. Wait, I feel like I might be. Wait. This is match number... Yeah, okay. I'm not forgetting a match. Right. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. Now, this match, let me just tell you, this was the weirdest match ever. Not because of what happened in the match, not even because of the build, although the build was shit, but because this match flip-flopped over and over and over again with what it was going to be. First, it was apparently going to be a match between Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans, two completely different people. Alright, Lacey Evans was supposed to beat Charlotte Flair. Not Charlotte Flair. Lacey Evans was supposed to beat Asuka at Elimination Chamber, according to rumors. And then Charlotte Flair was going to challenge Lacey Evans at Mania for the title and then win it, because WWE still don't understand that a babyface Charlotte Flair win would not be, like, no one would want that. But anyways, but then Lacey Evans was pregnant, so she had to step away. So then it was changed to Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. But then Asuka got injured, so it was like, who is Charlotte Flair going up against? Is Asuka going to even make it to Mania? Is she going to have to vacate the title? No, Asuka came back, so, okay, seems that we're going to get Asuka versus Charlotte Flair now. But then, Charlotte Flair just randomly doesn't appear on Raw, and it turns out she has COVID. We found that out after, like, she's removed from all the WrestleMania marketing and everything, so it was weird. And then it was announced she had COVID, so Rhea Ripley took her place. And, like, I'm like, okay, that's a banger. That's what you should have been doing at the beginning. Because it's like, okay, so you waited till after Lacey Evans couldn't be in the match, after Charlotte Flair couldn't be in the match, to insert Rhea Ripley as Asuka's opponent. And I was happy to see Rhea Ripley get this treatment, but it was like, it was just sort of like, why wasn't... You have the perfect idea right there. Why didn't you... Well, like, had Lacey Evans not gotten pregnant, and she would have been in this match. Now, as for Charlotte Flair, if she hadn't gotten COVID, she would have been in this match. This would have been Lacey Evans versus Charlotte Flair. But Rhea Ripley, you have a really good star, made a fantastic showing at the Royal Rumble. Why wouldn't you use that? And they did, but it took two people unable to be in this match to have her in it, which I didn't like. Sort of shows that their priorities aren't straight. But anyways, we got Asuka versus Rhea Ripley, which is a banger in the making. I tweeted about that, and it was quite a banger. Yeah, I'm not the type of person... I'll tell you this. I'm not the type of person who can recall certain spots from a wrestling match. I just watch wrestling matches, enjoy them, and I could talk about them, but I don't really have many... I don't have many, like... I don't talk about, like, all this, like, certain things that happen. If there's one thing that stands out, yeah. But, so therefore, there wasn't anything I could... I'm not going to really mention anything from here. Because it was just a fun all-around match. And there's some crazy shenanigans that took place outside the ring, I remember. And it was quite good. There were even some points where, like, it just seemed like a no-brainer to have Rhea Ripley win. Like, you build her up like this, you have her win. You don't do that just for her to lose. But there are a few points in the match where I was like, wait, is Asuka gonna win this? No, wait a second. But no, Rhea Ripley wins. And that was big. Like, when has that ever happened before? Like, last night, Omos won the tag team champions with AJ Styles in his in-ring debut, but like that was the tag team champions with a much more established wrestler in AJ Styles. This one, like, I mean, Rhea Ripley's pretty established, but like not on the main roster. And this was a singles title, and this is basically the women's division's equivalent to the WWE World Champion. Like, what if fucking, I don't know who's from NXT. What if like an NXT star? What if an NXT star got called up to the main roster and had a WrestleMania match for the WWE Champion in their main roster debut, and then wins the world title on their main roster debut? Like, that's what basically happened here. So it was great to see Rhea Ripley get the win, especially if you remember last year. She had a match with Charlotte Flair, and it was supposed to be Rhea Ripley is up against Charlotte Flair, a main roster person, but then fucking loses for whatever reason. And it's not like she gained it back. Like, she got it, Charlotte Flair ended up dropping it in a triple threat match, not to Rhea Ripley, but to Io Shirai, where Charlotte Flair wasn't even involved with that decision. Rhea Ripley's the one who got pinned. Io won the match, and she had a really good run with the title, but still, like, what were you doing with Rhea Ripley there? So, it was good to see Rhea Ripley get this win, much deservedly so. And Asuka, I feel, is a really good wrestler. She might, objectively, be, no hyperbole, she might be the best women's wrestler on the planet right now, objectively. She is really good. And some might even say she's one of the best wrestlers, period, right now. And she can work very well with Rhea Ripley, and they put on a really good match. But I thought it was, she didn't have a good run with the title. I thought it was, like, it got to a point where it was like, yo, any time to get this title off of Asuka, please. Like, if you're gonna book her right with it, then keep it on her. But like, if you're not gonna book her right, just get it the fuck off of her. Now I'm interested to see how Rhea Ripley gets booked with the Raw Women's Champion, because it wasn't Asuka's fault the way her run with the title turned out, you know, because it's not because they didn't build her up correctly, they didn't build anyone else up correctly. But hopefully Rhea Ripley gets some challengers, and she can have some good matches with the title. So yeah, and then we are soon about to have our main event, but before that we get an interlude, and there's always an interlude at WrestleMania. I was expecting this, you know. Last night weren't like any. I noticed that there weren't any like WrestleMania moments. Tonight though, there was, or at least one that was supposed to be, but it kind of felt a bit underwhelming. It was quite obvious where we were going with certain things, because Bayley, with her ding dong hello stuff, was good. She was bugging Titus and Hogan, the hosts, by the way, backstage a lot. So basically, what happened was Titus and Hogan come out on stage saying thank you to all the fans, and Bayley comes out to a pop. Alright, Bayley's over. Like, she's just a heel that people like. Don't turn her face. Don't get the wrong message, WWE. She's a fantastic heel. But she also got cheered a lot because she didn't have a match, and she probably should have, because she had a really good 2020. But anyways, so she came out basically yelling at Titus and yelling at Hogan, and then the Bella Twins come out. They exchange some words, and then the Bellas fucking push Bayley down the ramp, and then Titus, Hogan, and the Bellas dance, and then we get into the hype video for the main event. Well, I mean, I was expecting a WrestleMania moment. What was that? What was that? What? That wasn't... there were rumors that it was going to be a Becky Lynch return. There were rumors of it going to be a Ronda Rousey return. Something. I thought those were a little too out there. Like, I don't know, Becky just had a baby born. So, that's an alliteration right there. But, so I think, I don't know if she's ready to return to WWE yet. Ronda Rousey, I don't know what the fuck's going on with her. She's been gone for 2 years now. But something. Like, it was cool to see the Bellas, but, like, that just sort of happened. Like, yeah. Anyways, now we get on to our main event. Sorry if that was loud for the mic. So, we have a match, a triple threat match, between Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. This was one of the few matches on the show, on the whole WrestleMania card, night 1 and 2, that had a good build. This match had a good build. And there's some good storytelling there. Edge, you have Edge, this 40-year-old man, who had to retire, vacate his World Heavyweight Champion, because, he's gotten too many injuries. He broke his neck once, and his MRI said that, he has to retire or else he's gonna die, if you keep wrestling. So he had to vacate the title and retire not on his own terms. And then, that was back in 2011. In 2020, at the Royal Rumble, he comes back and feuds with Randy Orton, has a match at WrestleMania, then has a match at Backlash, where he gets injured again, and then returns in the 2021 Royal Rumble, wins it, and then has the chance to reclaim the title he never lost. That is great storytelling right there. And then, there's Roman Reigns versus Edge. That right there is already a huge money match. And then Daniel Bryan got inserted, and at first I was kind of like, why? At first it just sort of seemed like, they were just gonna have a very well built up match. Roman and Bryan were gonna have a match that was built up very well at Fastlane, and they had a good match, a really good match actually. But then they had Daniel Bryan growing some tension with Edge, and it was like, wait, if you're not inserting Daniel Bryan into the Mania match, why are you building tension? Why are you having Daniel Bryan building tension with Edge? Daniel Bryan, assuming he's not in that Mania match, has nothing to do with Edge, pretty much. Why is he building tension with Edge? So it was like, so they're probably adding Daniel Bryan to the match, but it was like, I don't know, because you have Roman and Edge, they have similar styles, and then you have Daniel Bryan, who's kind of completely different from both of them. But then I thought about it more, and that just made the match better. It just made it really good. I can definitely see benefits to it being a singles match between Roman and Edge, or even Roman and Bryan, or Edge and Bryan. Obviously that wouldn't have happened because there's no title there if it was Edge and Bryan, but you get what I mean. Any of these three people in a one-on-one, take any two of these three in a one-on-one, would have already made a really good match. But why not have all? And then Daniel Bryan kind of takes up some of the spotlight for Edge, and Edge kind of turns into a tweener. I didn't really like his heel turn. I don't know if he's a heel or a tweener. I wouldn't call him a babyface. people say he turned heel, and I can understand that, but I don't really like him turning heel, because if you think about his story here, that's not a heel story. That's not. This isn't like a story for a heel, okay? But anyways, we have a match. Roman Reigns, who usually is he's the guy WWE tried to push as their guy, but backfired completely. Got booed. Main evented WrestleMania. Let's see. 4 years in a row, and no one wanted to see that. It never worked out well. The only time it went well was in 2015 with where Seth Rollins cashed in. The other times he main evented, the main event was just ruined by the boos and people walking out and stuff. It was a disaster for the next 3 years. And there were also stuff that no one wanted to see. And then in WrestleMania 35 and 36, they were actually the two, like, they didn't have Roman Reigns main event, but this was the one time where it's like, okay, Roman Reigns deserves to main event, because they turn him heel, and he's a good heel, like, he's good. It's long overdue where they turn him heel, and they did it. So heel Roman Reigns, tweener Edge, or Edge at all, actually, and Daniel Bryan. Tell me that 3 years ago, where Edge was retired, Bryan was retired, and Roman was a babyface that was still failing to connect with the audience. Anyways, so they had a match. Bryan comes out to a standing ovation. Edge comes out with despite him being sort of a heel, I'd like to say he's a heelish babyface. I'll just say tweener. But despite being a tweener, he comes out to a huge pop, and you see, I'm calling him a tweener. I'm not going to call him a heel, because a heel would usually, like, disrespect the audience. Edge didn't do that. He was trying to hype up the audience. And it was a good moment. It wasn't like, anything particular happened, but just seeing him enter, seeing his WrestleMania entrance, this was supposed to be what it was last year, in front of a bunch of screaming fans. That didn't happen. We got it this year, though. Edge entered, and it was just a nice thing to see him enter in this, in this type of circumstance, right? And then Roman Reigns comes out, stalls a little bit, waits a good 30 seconds before he starts entering, and then the announcers, Michael Cole on commentary says, like, wow, even Roman's going to make you wait on the main event. I feel like there was a little, maybe blunder backstage that none of us saw. Maybe someone tripped. Who knows? But I guess Roman, it's heelish for Roman to just want to keep you waiting. Anyways, so they have a match, and since it's a triple threat, it's no disqualification, no count out, so a bunch of weapons are used. The announce table is used, the chairs are used, the steps are used. We have outside interference from Jey Uso, and here's the thing, I like Roman as this big monster heel who you don't want to fuck with at all. Shouldn't need help from anyone, so I don't really like Jey Uso interfering with these matches. But Jey Uso, usually he interferes whenever Roman pretty much has the match lost. I feel like in this match, he interfered, his interference was justified. And it was good stuff. We had there's some weird camera work, like there was this one shot where, like, I remember, I think Roman and Edge were, like, fighting each other, exchanging blows in the middle of the ring. Cuts to a crowd shot, and then a second before it cuts back to the ring, you hear on commentary, and Daniel Bryan from the top turnbuckle. So, and then it cuts back, and then you see Daniel Bryan jumping off of the top turnbuckle. It was like, maybe let the camera breathe, okay? Like, so yeah, that happened, and it was a little annoying. Happened a few times throughout the match, but not too bad. There's some backstage stuff, or no, outside the ring stuff, which was really cool. And then the finish was, I thought the finish was really good. Edge takes 3 chairs, one for one to put Roman's head on, and one to put Bryan's head on, and then the third one is for him to use, and then he does a concerto. He does a concerto to Daniel Bryan, knocks him out. Daniel Bryan's completely out of the match. But then he's about to do it to Roman, and if he does it to Roman, he pretty much has the match won. If he does it to Roman, right? Why am I repeating myself? But then Jey Uso comes and fucks up Edge, but Edge beats the shit out of Jey Uso with the chair. But then Roman gets up, spears Edge, and then Roman, I believe, does a concerto to Edge, and then Roman drags Edge onto Bryan, and then pins both of them for the 1, 2, 3. Roman's a badass. So, yeah, this match had a good enough build to where I was like, I was kind of leaning more towards Edge, but then whenever I would think about in my head why I thought Edge was going to win, it was like, wait, but then Daniel Bryan can win. Wait, but then Roman can retain. So this is a well-built-up match, and I feel like I don't think any winner was the wrong guy to win. You know, I feel like everyone in this match, like if whoever won this match, it would have felt right. Roman winning was a good call. Edge winning would have been a good call. Bryan winning would have been a good call. I feel like, you know, you want to have those feel-good babyface title wins at WrestleMania, and we didn't get that, but you don't always need that. Sometimes, you know, you need the bad guy to win. I wouldn't say Roman needed to win, but technically neither did Edge, and technically neither did Bryan. This was a match where whoever won would be the better option. Also, there's this one spot in the match that I thought was pretty cool. Edge had Roman in a crossface, but then Bryan comes and puts Roman in a yes lock through the other arm. So Roman, like, he was basically in a double submission, which I thought was really cool, and he somehow won after that. So yeah, I'm interested to see who Roman fights next, honestly. Like, I don't know, it's interesting because this is usually a match where he would lose. I was kind of... the crowd seemed to be in favor of Edge, and the match almost seemed like... the match was sort of directed and everything in a way for Edge to win, and it kind of made the most storyline sense for Edge to win it. And then he didn't win. And it would have been equally like, what the fuck, when you consider if he won, if if he won, and then you consider what do you do now with Edge as champion. So I don't know where Roman goes as champion now. I don't think he rematches Edge. I don't think he rematches Bryan. But but definitely a good main event. And they all deserved the main event spot. This was a well built up feud. Great storytelling involved, and great wrestling. And that'll be WrestleMania 37. All in all, final thoughts. I'll say night 1 was definitely more exciting. Maybe it was just because it was the first event with fans. And then night 2, the novelty of that hadn't completely worn off. I wouldn't say it was a novelty that wears off. That's still a huge deal, but it worn off a little bit, I will say. So, yeah, that happened. But also night 1 had a bunch of, I feel like night 1, all the matches, the right person won. Night 2, though, I feel like the Fiend should have won the first match. I feel like Natalya and Tamina should have won that match. The rest of the card had the right winners, I'd say. And there also weren't many stipulation matches, which I don't know. It just kind of feels like, I don't know. WrestleMania is where you go all out. The Nigerian drum fight was pretty cool. We had a cool steel cage match, and the triple threat main event had a bunch of no DQ stuff, but that was really it. So definitely good WrestleMania. I definitely say maybe one of the best WrestleManias in a very long time. For a while, I was thinking, within, the past, I want to say, 7-8 years, the best WrestleMania was probably, and the best WrestleMania, I want to say, for the past 5 or 6 years, actually. Let's see, well, when did they start getting a bit I'd say that it was WrestleMania, I forgot which one this was, but the one in 2016, where it was headlined by Roman Reigns and Triple H. Since then, where they started to get a bit the best one in there up until now, I'd say, was WrestleMania 35, which even then, that one wasn't the best. This one, I think, is the best one in that time. If you get what I'm saying, I fucked up there, but yeah, well, what do you guys think about WrestleMania? I know I don't usually talk about this stuff, and I don't plan to talk about this stuff too much more often. I want this to be a yearly thing, though. I like talking about WrestleMania. So that being said, if you are new here and you're expecting more wrestling content, I'm not a wrestling channel. I'm not a wrestling podcaster. So I'm sorry, but I do know that a lot of people into wrestling and a lot of people into video games and a lot of people into movies are all kind of under the same boat. So if you're into that stuff, definitely follow me on SoundCloud if you're on YouTube, or subscribe to my channel if you're on SoundCloud. Either DPX Solo or D3PX, depending on where this goes up. I don't usually want these wrestling videos to go up on my main channel, just because, again, I don't want confusion. Let's say it gets a lot of views. So yeah, that'll be it for this episode of DPX Talks for about an hour. We'll be back in a week or two, I feel, with a normal episode where I cover main events or the current events. I'm into I'm all into wrestling mode now, where I just said main events. But no, current events in the world of gaming and movies and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be back soon. Bye, guys.